Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 46 of From the Van. It's a podcast from my van where I have conversations with people who have relationships with residential vehicles. I'm your host, Marty Benson, and today's episode features Christian Henkel. Christian is a young outdoors enthusiast, aspiring photographer, and van lifer. I think he's been living in the van about 7 months. And he seems to be doing everything in his power to limit the compromises that he makes in terms of the life that he wants to live. And as with many of us, you know, that the van is integral to that because it sort of wraps the opportunity for travel into your rent payment, quote unquote rent payment or whatever. He's determined to be a successful photographer, and I think he's going to do it because he seems to have a really good head on his shoulders about finding opportunities and the fact that it's going to take a lot of time and effort for him to get where he wants to be. We had a really great conversation. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, you might see that I'm sitting in the mattress that we've been living in for a year and a half, and it's got a new paint job. We spruced it up a little bit to sell it, and you should go on our Instagram and check out the new bed that Aaron Hauser built for us. He's one of the best craftsmen I know, and also one of my closest, oldest friends. Mason_house on Instagram. But without further ado, I hope that you enjoy episode 46 of From the Van featuring Christian Henkel. Tell me about this hoodie you're wearing.
I was literally wondering when I put this on if you were going to ask about it.
I like it.
Because I didn't want to say the story. Well, okay.
You didn't want to?
It's just like, it's a brand.
If I ever ask you a question that you don't feel comfortable
It's
answering.
a brand that I don't really like that much anymore, but I like the design.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Supreme hoodie, if you know what Supreme is.
Yes.
It used to be a skateboard brand, still is a skateboard brand, but it's kind of turned into much more than that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gotten very popular, and I just think it's kind of oversaturated.
Sure.
So
Hassan Minaj did an episode on
yeah,
Supreme.
okay. And yeah, so actually, funny thing about Supreme is I had a decent amount of stuff before it got as big as it has become.
Mm-hmm.
And when building the van for extra money, I sold all my Supreme stuff.
Oh,
and
because it's like
it's
super
stuff now.
worth
yeah,
money.
I gotta wear it and then sell it for more than what I bought it for.
Yeah.
So like,
Nice.
yeah. But I kept this piece because it's a collaboration with an artist, goes by Gons, and I liked his work, and I thought this was a trippy little hoodie.
It's very cool, man. I like it. Where are you from, Christian?
Originally Virginia Beach.
Mm-hmm.
I was born into a military family, so moved around a lot. My dad actually retired from the military when I was right when I was born, but then he worked for the government for a while, so we still traveled a lot. I only lived in Virginia Beach for a year, and then I moved to Puerto Rico. Actually, lived in Puerto Rico for 5 years. And I think I just went to like preschool there. I was too young to go to school.
Yeah.
Besides just preschool. But I went to school in like a military base. Everyone spoke English, so I didn't have to like learn Spanish or anything.
Right.
I've learned most of the Spanish I do know from working in a restaurant. Not from Puerto Rico. But after that, moved to Pittsburgh. I didn't even live there for a full year. Just one like school year. I think it was like 10 or 11 months I was there.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. I definitely like enjoyed living there. I wasn't old enough to have a car or anything, so I couldn't really explore it. But from what I experienced, I liked it a lot.
We had a good time in the fall in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. It's awesome in the fall. I mean, winter was my favorite as a kid just because, like, sledding, all the hills around there, they get a lot of snow. So. The school I went to was, like, just like the East Coast, the history there is different. Like, it's so much older. Like, you don't get, like, the architecture over there like you do here. And on the West Coast, it's cool in its own way. But, yeah, it's just different out there.
Yeah, everything here, like a real old building on the West Coast is 100 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Not 300 or 400 years old.
Yeah, that's how I felt when I went to Europe.
Yeah.
Europe's just a whole other monster. Like, those things are like hundreds, if not thousands, some of them are. I mean,
I'm full.
Yeah, wild. So,
what did you eat?
I had a grilled cheese and tomato soup.
That sounds
It
bomb.
was delicious. Still can't finish the soup. I'm too full. Am I in it now? Nope.
not quite, bud.
Yeah, get close. You have to act like you like them at least.
Fisheye isn't in the van. So that was like what? Middle school we're talking about? Where'd you go after
Pittsburgh, I only lived there for a year, and that was actually kindergarten.
Oh,
Like, because I only went to preschool, like in Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
Yeah, so it was just kindergarten in Pittsburgh. But honestly, I don't know if this is normal for kindergarten, but we learned about like some really what I felt like was advanced stuff at the time. Like learned about like famous artists like Claude Monet and Vincent Van Gogh and stuff like that, and like learned how to count money. I don't know if you usually do that in kindergarten, but like cursive we learned in kindergarten in Pittsburgh, and when I had to relearn it again when I moved to Virginia where I live next. So I think we did like, it was a pretty cool school. I definitely liked Pittsburgh, but after Pittsburgh, went to Virginia, Richmond area, a little area called Spotsylvania. It wasn't really much to do. People just called it Spotsyltucky because it's just kind of it's just like out there kind of. And that's where like, I guess at this point I would say I grew up on the West Coast, but like up until last year, I'd always say like I'm from the East Coast. Like I spent the majority of my time in Virginia. That's where I went to like elementary, middle. Never went to high school, but like all elementary school up until 7th grade and middle school. And that's when I moved out here. It was 8th grade.
Yeah, okay.
But Virginia is where I did like much of my growing up and stuff.
Where were you when you came out here?
Originally we were in a hotel for a while while my parents looked for a place to live.
Yeah.
Because it's just so expensive out here, and they're trying to find, a decent school district for me to go to and stuff. And then the hotel got expensive. They still couldn't find a place, so we moved right by SDSU, like right down the street. I can't remember what the street was, but right by San Diego State, like in an apartment where we were just paying like month to month. Yeah. I think we only did that for like maybe 2 months until my parents like found a place that like was in a good school district and stuff, and like that was a nicer area than. I mean, I don't know how often you've been by SDSU, but it's kind of trashy down there in certain parts. So yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. And then lived inland San Diego, place called Rancho Penasquitos. That's where I went to high school, and that's like at this point I would say I grew up on the West Coast. Like, high school definitely shaped a lot, just as much of who I am today as like both elementary and middle school did for me. I'd say.
So you're full time in a van now. How long has that been going?
Every time people ask, I just say 6 months, but I've been saying that for a long time now. So I think it's getting closer to like 7 at this point. But I got the van January last year, so it just hit a year actually since I bought the van. I didn't even think about that till just now. And took me about like 6 months to build it. So then it's been 7 months closer now to when I finished building it. And I've been living in it full time. My parents live in town, so like I still go to their house to do laundry occasionally and shower and stuff. Sure. So like, I guess you can say that. I don't know if you consider that full time.
In town in San Diego or in town
Escondido.
Escondido.
So like like 15-20 minutes inland. I go there like once every 2 weeks, I'd say. Okay. And just like say what's up to the parents, get a free meal, get a shower, there you go. All the good stuff.
Yeah, cool. Well, it's good to have that. It's good to have that support system close. I feel
Definitely.
My sister lives here, and she's gracious enough to allow us to get our Amazon and mail and stuff.
And little things like that I didn't even like think about till recently, talking to like Jared and Shane and them, like mail. I never even thought about that.
And then it's like, I like all my van friends who have been in town lately, but I also have like a whole bunch of friends in town that don't live in vans and stuff. Yeah. And so we have this whole community here that's sort of the Encinitas community that's completely separate from the van. And so it's interesting have you, during these 6 to 7 months, have you struck out and like gone elsewhere? You've been in San Diego most of the time.
Not lived, because I do work part-time still.
Right, you're at REI?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So that's like the thing that's holding me back from just, sending it to somewhere far away. Right. Not that I wouldn't I do want to always come back to San Diego. I want this to be my HQ because I've never not even San Diego, but just Encinitas specifically. I mean, how long have you guys been in Encinitas?
Well, she was born in Seattle, but she grew up in Murrieta and Fallbrook, basically.
Okay.
Really close to Escondido.
Yeah. I know their high school sports team.
So she's been in the area for her whole life, basically. I moved to Encinitas for the first time in 2008, but I spent about 4.5 years in LA in the middle.
So you've been in Encinitas for like a decent amount of time, though, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I like about
roots here.
That's what I like about you is like I think you guys both probably know like Encinitas is much different than any part of San Diego. I think at least. I think that it has its own little culture, and like the people here are just like, they're just nicer, honestly, than like anywhere else. Like I just like the vibes here. So that's why like I would like to make this like my HQ, but I definitely want to like travel much farther in my van than I have so far, just because I have a job that keeps bringing me back. And I love my job. It's honestly like the best job I could honestly imagine having. But I do want to try to work remotely eventually, whether it be work remotely for them, possibly,
right,
or work remotely off my own photography, which is what I'm passionate about.
REI, I want to talk about photography in a minute, but REI seems like a company that would be willing to help you out if they can.
Exactly. And they are. They really are. And I have brought up remote work there. I'm still fairly new, so... And so I'm not trying to, like, push anything, but I did ask about, like, do you guys offer remote positions, possibly? And basically the answer I got was, like, we offer more than you would think. So, and that was a good enough answer for me for now. I'm still kind of establishing myself there.
Yeah, sure.
But the fact that he said that, I mean, there's definitely some positions they offer that are remote. And they are the kind of company that would be willing to make a new position if I could pitch a good enough idea, like how that could help the company.
Sure.
They would be like, all right, let's try it out.
Yeah,
like they're the kind of place that would do that.
You could mesh your photography with that.
Exactly, and they already have a pretty killer. They have a pretty killer like film team.
Yeah,
because they put out like little. They don't really advertise in commercials, I don't think, on TV and stuff. But they have like YouTube videos a lot and stuff, and they do little kind of like short documentary, heart tugging stuff. And they also need photographers for their ads and stuff because they have their own co-op brand of clothes.
Yeah.
So someone has to take pictures for those ads.
Right.
And I would imagine that could definitely, if it's not already, be a remote position.
Yeah. Sure. Or at least a traveling one.
Yeah.
Right.
And to think about, like, part of the pitch could be, like, you guys have to pay for the plane ticket for these people to go everywhere. Like, I'm already in a van. Like, just pay me for the shoot.
Yeah.
And then the regular paycheck on top of that will just go to gas. But, like, they wouldn't have to pay as much, I feel like, for traveling expenses.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the beauties of this whole thing. Well, we talked about your parents for a second. What's your... I think I've gathered that you're an only child.
Two brothers.
Okay.
I got two older brothers. I'm the
older
youngest.
brothers.
Yeah.
Oh, because you were saying good school district for me. Are they much older?
One of them didn't actually move to San Diego with us.
Oh.
He was already old enough and out of the house. So he was living in Texas. My other brother, the middle child, he had 1 year of high school left. So he did go to the same high school as me. We went to high school together for 1 year. And then, he ended up going to San Diego State, so he stayed locally. He actually owns a brewery now in San Clemente. So, he went to college.
Which one?
It hasn't opened up yet. Like it's called Los Melones.
Okay.
It's supposed to open up, I think, in the next couple months. But essentially, he went to college for kinesiology. He went to school for 6 years in total, I think, and then ended up, after graduating, decided, like, this is not what I'm passionate about.
Right.
I'm passionate about, like, brewing beer, and he found that out later on.
Dope.
And I was like, dude, like, send it. And he was already convinced, like, himself that he wanted to send it. And, like, so he ended up doing that. So I think that's super dope. So it's So he met somebody who actually wanted to open up a brewery, but more was focused on the business side. And he's focused on the brewing side.
Perfect.
And they teamed up. Yeah. So
we'll have to check it out.
Definitely. Yeah. I'll let you guys know when it opens. And he always gives me free beer. He'll probably give me some samples and stuff. So I'll pass them along.
How does your family? What's your family's attitude towards the van thing?
I think my parents are definitely a little more like conservative than I am, and like I could kind of be seen as like the hippie child, you could say, or whatever, the free spirited one. But also from early on, I think I made it like kind of clear that I'm not really doing anything in life to please my parents. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think there's a lot of people who kind of like, I'm going to school to make my parents proud, and like, I just feel like if you have one life to live, I'm not going to live it for someone else. And I think they kind of realize that. So whether or not they like support it or not, which I think they do support it, like, even if they didn't, it wouldn't like, they know it wouldn't change anything. Like, I'm going to do what I think's best for me. Yeah. And obviously they want what's best for me, but those are going to be two different things sometimes.
Well, let's talk about your van for a second. What van are you in?
I'm in a Ford E250, 1998. I didn't want to get a van older than me, and I'm 22 years old, so the van's the same age as me.
There you go.
I said that in Jared's YouTube tour, and someone comments, cars come out like three months before the new year, right? Like, I'm like, oh, God, whatever, dude. Like, it's a 98, I'm 98.
You get the concept.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
any hair we can split, right?
That's YouTube comments for you.
That's funny.
What's your build like?
Simplistic, minimalist is how I could put it. There's not a single drawer you will find in there. Just cabinets. I use duffel bags as drawers. All my clothes are separated by duffel bags. I'm very OCD, so I have like a duffel bag for shorts and pants, a duffel bag for t-shirts, duffel bag for underwear, and
I wish I was that organized.
It's just that's like my drawer or closet system.
Yeah.
I have a platform bed, so nothing's converting or anything. There's not really any moving parts.
Mm-hmm.
I have a countertop with a sink. I have a fridge, and I have power. That's all you need. I have something to cook. I don't have a toilet, and I don't have a shower, so that is a big downside. But REI is nice enough to provide a shower for employees.
Oh, you got a shower at work?
Yeah.
This is a thing. This is a thing that one of my soapboxes is transportation and parking.
Yeah.
And, in the U.S., I think that, especially in California, a parking space costs about $30,000.
Dude, it's ridiculous.
And you can build a badass multi-stall restroom for $30,000, and that would encourage people to ride a bike to work or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's so many reasons that there should be showers at every job, and I didn't know that about the REI in Encinitas, but it totally makes sense.
I don't use it super often. I mean, like you do, I have friends that live around. They let me shower there a lot. I climb at a couple of rock gyms around here a lot.
And they've got showers too.
All of them, I'm pretty sure, have showers. Yeah. So I mean, and then parents' house, like I said, every couple of weeks.
So do you not have a gym membership?
I did. When I first built the van, I had an Anytime Fitness.
Uh-huh.
And then once I kind of got settled in, I realized I didn't use it that much because of all those reasons I just listed.
Oh,
and I
right,
was like, I'm just gonna save myself $40 or whatever a month, and I'll get it again when I start traveling more frequently. Because I do have plans to do cross country type trips and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll probably get a new membership then, but I don't support Anytime Fitness. I must say that they charged me so much to cancel. It was ridiculous.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like $300 to cancel my contract. What? Yeah, and I know when I signed it, there's an exception. If you move somewhere that there's not an Anytime Fitness within 100 miles, then it's you get you can cancel for free.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, well, I'm planning on doing that. I'm going to be traveling to places. I told them I'm going to be traveling abroad, and you guys don't have 100 miles. And okay, we need to send us you have to send us your new address or driver's license. I'm like, no, I'm traveling abroad. I'm not gonna have an address at any of these places. And they're like, then that's not valid for the contract. So I was just like, fuck you guys, and paid the $300 or whatever because it just wasn't worth them $40 a month if I never used it. So
24 tries to pull that shit on me. I'm gonna.
Next time I get your membership, I will make sure it's in the contract, and I'm sure you could finagle that in there even if it's not already. I'll pay an extra whatever if you make it so there's free cancellation because a lot of gym memberships do have free cancellation. So
yeah.
It's just not worth it.
I chose Anytime Fitness though because there's more locations than any other gym in America. Apparently, there's one in every state. And that's not the case with every other gym.
We found we joined Planet Fitness right before we left on a big road trip last year because we were members of 24 and they're everywhere on the West Coast,
they're only
but
West
not
Coast.
elsewhere. And we had a hard time finding Planet Fitnesses in some places in Canada, but everywhere else
you're in Canada.
Yeah.
I didn't think about if any of those gyms went past our borders.
There are some Planet Fitnesses.
And there was some Anytime Fitness.
See, I know Anytime Fitness is one of the biggest. That's the only reason I got it is just because how many locations they had. I mean, it was more than quadruple what 24 had. I know Anytime's probably bigger than 24, I'd imagine, though.
Planet Fitness, though, is a good price, and it's pretty much, I think there's only 2 that I've been in that were pretty gross, but the rest of them were always so clean.
How are the bathrooms at Anytime? Is it a locker room style?
At 24, you mean? Or Planet Fitness?
Planet Fitness. Both. I mean, every 24 I've been to is locker room style, kind of.
Yeah.
That's what sold me on Anytime, is Anytime I've been to, you have your own door with your own toilet and your own shower and a door that locks.
Oh, no.
Is that not a game changer?
No, that's the way. Neither of those places are like
we
that.
get lucky when there's one where there's a little entrance in the shower that you can hang up your stuff and then a separate shower. That's a really good thing.
And I don't know if that's any time, but everyone I've been to, and I've been to 3 or 4 locally.
That's crazy.
And each one that you have your own bathroom. I was and that's what I'm pretty sure that's what Shane has possibly too.
Yeah, he does.
You can go in, take your morning business, shower, have all your stuff spread out for the day, your own, and you have your own space. And that was to me, that was a big game changer.
That is cool. Well. Yeah. So let's talk about, did you go to college?
I did. I went to college in San Diego. I did not graduate college.
Okay.
I was failing classes. My scholarship got taken away from me. I was getting free college because my dad was in the military. But then I started making too much money apparently, so they took the scholarship away. And then right after, like a week after that, like academic probation for getting bad grades. And I was just like, dude, I know I want to be a photographer.
Yeah.
And like, while a degree would be nice, like it's not necessary to become a successful photographer.
Sure.
And I was just unhappy, so I was like, I just made that decision to like full send what I wanted to do and what I was passionate about, and like definitely don't regret it one bit. Like I know college will always be there for me if I want to go back to it. But like I just wanted to go for my plan A and not worry about a plan B, and just put 100 into what I wanted to do long term.
So when did photography happen?
I took photo class in high school, senior year I think, but I think what like made me even like, I don't know if you could say it sparked my passion, but at least an interest in photography was a trip I took to Priest Lake in Idaho with some friends. Really out there in a really like remote cabin, and we were doing a lot of hiking, biking, wakeboarding on the lake and stuff. And one of my friends that was going with us broke his collarbone like 2 days before the trip, and he was debating whether or not to go, and he ended up going, but he couldn't really do much, so he brought a camera with him. He brought his like a Canon T3i or something he got for Christmas, and was just taking pictures the whole time. And like as soon as we got back from the trip, he sent everyone like a link to all the pictures, and I was just like had this feeling of getting like taken right back to that trip, because it was just such a fun time with all like my closest friends, and like seeing all those memories. Like I was just like, and it was the first time seeing like just like what an amateur could take with like a decent camera, like a DSLR, you know, of any kind. Like, and I was just like, wow, like he who had very minimal like photography experience took these awesome photos that I like cherished. So I was like, I kind of wanted to recreate that.
Cool.
So yeah, I took photo class and like fell in love. Like I knew I enjoyed photography, and then I think it was when I was in college, and I was like unhappy that I decided like, what do I want to do with my life? And like I just wanted to travel, because that's all I felt like I knew that there was. Like I feel like you don't know, no one really knows what happens when you die. They don't know if there's like an afterlife or not, but what we do know is like we're on this earth for X amount of time. So I feel like I just wanted to see all the earth has like to offer, basically, to travel. That's just like what I think would make me the happiest. And it was just, how can I travel and like get paid to do it, basically. And it's like, oh, I kind of like photography, and like I know I want to travel, and like it just sprouted into like my love for photography is just as much as my love for traveling now.
So what do you think? I feel like the reason that story resonates with the photos that I've seen that you've taken is they are very like most of the shots I've seen that you've taken are lifestyle shots.
Yeah, like
or
I never even thought about that, but yeah, you're right.
They're either lifestyle shots or they're like action photos of climbing and that sort of stuff, right? So is it the documenting of the human experience, or do you feel like there's like is it composition or like sharing an experience that drives you more?
Yeah. I never really made that connection until just now, that like that story I told you of when I fell in love, or when I got that interest in photography, was me looking at photos of all my friends doing stuff like in Idaho, mountain biking and all this stuff. And that's what I like to take photos most of now. Never made that connection until now, so that was pretty like cool to see that all the dots connect for that. But yeah, I think like I even like talked about this in one of my captions for my photos recently, but I do think it's about like I like capturing the little moments that like a lot of other photographers or people might look past. Like, you know, everyone's going and hiking to this incredible spot for that one like scenic postcard photo, and like I really enjoy the photos like getting there. Like I enjoy like all the little parts along the way, and that's like a quote I heard a while ago from Travis Rice. He's a snowboarder, and essentially it's just that's what life's about. It's not really the destination, but it's about the journey. And like that really like resonates with me, and that's something I believe in. Is like when I go on these trips to, you know, Joshua Tree or Sequoia or something like that, like it's not always the destination or like the big view that's the most that I remember the most. It's like all the things that happened when I got there. Like that's what I kind of, when I look back, that's what I remember. And not to say that the end destination isn't incredible, because it's always jaw dropping and breathtaking, but like I enjoy getting there and like the experiences you have along the way, for sure. And that's what I like to capture, I think.
Cool. What are your plans for? What are your plans? What are your plans for photography? What's your strategy? What are you trying to?
I I mean, I feel like I'm following just a pretty cookie cutter proven path of just, putting out content frequently. Building a portfolio. I do plan on applying for internships eventually to some photographers I look up to, unless some situation happens where I get an opportunity to just go straight into freelance, basically, where it starts because I do make some money on the side from doing portraits and like brand product shots, but not enough to where I'm making as much as I would at my part-time job even. Once it gets to that point where the photos are doing that, then I would go remote. But until that happens, I do plan like doing some internships just to open up some more doors, because not only would that be a super good learning experience, but just the connections you'd make through working for a like already established travel photographer or something would be awesome. So that's basically the plan, is just keep traveling, keep taking pictures, and then I feel like I am getting close to the point where I have a decent portfolio where I could start definitely like applying to do internships and stuff.
Pitching to people.
Yeah, probably start doing that pretty soon here.
You probably would learn a bunch of hands-on technical stuff that you wouldn't get in an academic setting.
And that's how I felt about photography. And honestly, a lot of like different trades, kind of like going to trade school or something. But like, I feel like you can learn so much more through like just diving into it than you would sitting in a classroom. Like, I heard someone say, like, if you're learning how to play football, you don't sit in a classroom for 4 years and talk about how you're going to play football. You just usually go right into it, Like,
you go push a plow on the
exactly.
field.
And obviously jobs like a scientist or a doctor, things like that, you definitely need to sit and read the books and, learn that stuff. But for certain jobs, I feel like it's just not necessary to go talk about it in a classroom for 4 years. Like, I think you learn so much more diving into it.
Theater's like that too.
Yeah, so I feel like most of the arts I feel like are going to be like that, and even things outside of the arts I feel like are still similar to that. A lot of trade stuff. I mean, and that's how trade school's different. If you're going to be a welder or a carpenter, you're usually diving straight into it.
You need to cut stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And even if you do sit in a classroom for 4 years, like the experience you're going to have when you are doing the thing is still going to be very informative, and you're still gonna learn.
Yeah,
you never stop learning.
Definitely. So even a collaboration of doing like maybe some schooling and some internships for some jobs would even be nice. Like, I think if you're trying to major in business, it'd be like you could also maybe intern for someone starting a small business, or intern for a what do you call it? Like a Kickstarter business, starting business. One of the little pop up, just getting up on the ground. Like, and I think you'd learn just as much from that as you would from actually like hitting the books and stuff.
Sure, man. I went to law school. I have a law degree and a bar card, and I do not know how to practice law because I just didn't do it.
Yeah.
I practiced law for like 2.5 months, which is not enough to learn how to practice law.
I was going to say that would be one of the jobs where you would need to go to school, but I guess...
You do need to go to school, but you also have to do the thing afterwards.
Exactly. The schooling's not enough, and that's I guess that's the bigger picture
how to do it.
Of the point.
And I never learned how to do it.
Start this doodad.
Thank you, bud. You're looking out. Yeah, the camera only goes for 30 minutes, and you have to restart it, so... She's got her eye on the countdown.
Damn, good looks.
Speaking of which, what camera are you shooting with? I love cameras.
Sony game. Are you on a Sony as well?
Nope, that's a Panasonic.
Oh, Panasonic. My one of my good friends is a big Panasonic guy. He's got the GH4.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the big boy one. I'm on a Sony. I started on Canon. My first DSLR was a Canon my dad gave me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was called the EOS X or something. It's like an old one. It was gray. The Canon was gray, so that tells you about the age a little bit. And it was like a 1990s DSLR, maybe early 2000s, and took like all my first photos on that, and learned how to shoot manually on that. Just basic, exposure and framing and things like that. And then got a T5i, so a nice little upgrade, but still pretty starter camera. And then had to move up, and it took me a long time to decide what to get, but I ended up going with a Sony to hop on the bandwagon. But I feel like there's a bandwagon for a reason. I mean, it has, at least on paper, it's like in that price range, the best option you can get. Mm-hmm. And it's a camera that's way out of my skill level, to be honest, but it's something that I know I can grow into. Yeah, cool. And it's a camera that won't hold me back at all. The camera itself, like, is far beyond my skills, so I have time to use it to its full potential, basically. Mm-hmm. Awesome camera.
Cool.
Sony menus suck, though, I will say. But besides that, everyone knows their menus are not the best.
Yeah, the Lumix they sort of carved out a space for themselves in video.
Yeah.
And I've always been a video guy.
And that's what my friend uses them for. He uses them for surf filming. Yeah. He does and he's always been a Panasonic guy. Yeah. Big Panasonic guy.
They do good video stuff, but the Sonys are really good for video too. What sort of lenses are you shooting with?
No Sony lenses. Well, actually, I do rent lenses a lot, actually. But all my lenses are Tamron.
Okay.
So just a lot less expensive third-party lenses. The only downside I've noticed, or the biggest downside I've noticed when I use actual Sony native lenses, is the autofocus. Mm-hmm. So the autofocus on the Sony lenses is like crazy fast. I didn't think there was that big of a difference, but there's a huge difference. Mm-hmm. But I rent lenses a lot from Nelson's Photos down in San Diego. Shout out Nelson's. They're super nice there, and they're like don't have an elitist vibe. Like when you go in there to rent something, like it doesn't matter if you know a lot about cameras or not. They're not going to be like, oh, you don't know what this means or something. Like you basically can go in there and be like, hey, I have this shoot I have to do. You know, I have a portrait. This is the location. This is like the time of day it's going to be, and like they will help set you up with something
nice
that's in your price range. And yeah, they're just super nice there, and they have they're very welcoming vibe. So I rent my lenses from there. I get rent a lot of Sony lenses there. If I'm going on like a trip somewhere that I'm really excited about, or I know there's gonna be like some good shots, I'll rent like a Sony G Master lens and get one of the really nice lenses.
The expensive ones. What about the van and travel? Like if you can find a remote gig, whether it's through your current company or start shooting freelance and making enough money to do whatever the hell you want to, like, what's your view of the future in terms of like
I feel like
the near term future in the van?
As soon as that day comes where I'm working remotely, I'm doing a road trip that I've had planned for a long time where I'm trying to hit essentially every national park in the continental US. I'll probably exclude Alaska and hit that later. But every single national park, I don't know if I'll go to the Gateway Arch because that's not. I don't know how that's a national park, but it is. I'm trying to go to like all these national parks and just do what I want to do, which is travel. And I feel like, as I was saying earlier, to me, like the purpose of life is to travel. That's for like my purpose in life, I feel. And I think the best place to start is where I live now. You know, America.
Sure.
Start there, and then after that, I want to travel every corner of the globe that there is to travel. That's like my goal in life, is to just see everything this place has to offer, basically. So I want to start with the U.S., hit every national park, and then we'll go from there.
Cool. Wait, when you say the Gateway Arch, you're talking about in St. Louis?
Yeah. Is there there's nothing naturey about that, is there?
No, dude, I've seen it.
I mean, I'm sure it's really nice. Don't get me wrong.
I've seen it two or three times from like a mile or two away. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, there's that. I don't need to go up to it.
I saw that, right?
When I picture national park.
That's a national park?
It's technically a national park.
Weird.
It's important to like manifest destiny and wiping out a whole race of people.
The Washington Monument's not a national park, or the Lincoln Monument, or nothing in DC, but like. Yeah, it always pops up when I look up lists for national park. Maybe I'm mistaken. Yeah. I always see it for national parks, and I'm not going there. Actually, if I happen to drive through it, I might stop and look at it. But I'm just trying to go out and be off the grid and go to these beautiful spots of nature.
So I feel like I missed a question earlier that I want to ask you that this road trip sort of jogged my brain about is like, why are you in a van? What made you decide?
Yeah, so that's a good. Yeah, I think I don't know if the van. No, definitely So I told you about how I after being unhappy about certain things, I decided that traveling was my purpose, and that's what I wanted to do. And maybe after traveling, I'll find a new passion. Like I just want to see all the things that are out there. Mm-hmm. And then it was kind of the next question was, how do I do that? Mm-hmm. And that's when the van came into the picture and photography came into the picture. I was like, oh, photos is how I can get paid to travel, and it's like, okay. I can't afford to buy plane tickets to all these places I want to go. I was like, what's next? And then I went on a trip to Joshua Tree with one of my good friends, Skylar, and he had a Westphalia. Mm-hmm. And it was my first time going to Joshua Tree, which is now one of my favorite places ever. So we went to a Joshua Tree in Westphalia, and it was just being in a van. That was my first time being in a van like that, and that definitely that kind of is what made me want to do van life. Mm. And is when I was sitting there asking myself, how can I travel, photography, how am I going to afford plane tickets? And I was like, wait, that trip to Joshua Tree, that's how I can do it. That van, van is the answer, basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, after that, I was set on it for a very long time before I actually even bought the van or started building it. I think probably over a year, maybe 2 years, I wanted to get a van. It didn't happen until down the line later. Mm-hmm. But I think it happened at the perfect time, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's just like we did this trip through Canada and out to Montreal last fall. And when I think about what that trip would have cost if we were paying for accommodations and plane tickets and rental cars and
all
stuff,
that, Ubers.
It was probably a $50,000 trip, maybe more. You know what I mean? And we drank beer and we didn't pay for a parking ticket. We did pay for tolls, you know, and stuff. But like
you would in a rental car if you're going anyway.
But like we spent a tenth of that or something. You know what I mean? To do this whole giant trip. And you know, for weird work trips and stuff, she's assistant directing a show up in Glendale, and we're going to be able to go up to LA and be there for a couple of months. Yeah. Just because. Yeah. You know? And it opens up so many opportunities like that.
And I always joke about that, like how like I get to wake up with a $1 million view every morning and don't have to pay anything for it.
Right.
But, like, it's true. It's things like that where it's just like you can go on $50,000 trips and like you can live life more, like you can enjoy life more. I mean, it's just financial. I mean, money's not happiness, but financial security definitely is a big
helps.
Yeah, exactly. Like money's one of the biggest causes of stress for most people. So when you have to worry about that a little bit less, you're just a little bit happier.
It's totally worth it. Yeah.
And the freedom, that's one of my favorite parts about it. It's just like when I moved from my apartment to my van, I felt like a weight was just lifted off my shoulders. Like I felt like I was just like nothing was holding me back anymore from if I wanted to hypothetically leave San Diego. Mm-hmm. Everything I own is in this one vehicle that is able to go 80 miles an hour away from here. Like,
so this is another thing that occurred to me with REI.
Yeah.
Is that why can't you just transfer to another store?
And I could. I'm happy where I'm at, for one, and two.
I mean, this is the dopest town around. But
and I just started, but I think that's another possibility. If I can't go remotely working for them this soon, it's just too soon. I haven't been there long enough. Then I'll maybe pitch another location. And I love the location I'm at. I love all my coworkers. I love the managers there and stuff. But yeah, like that's something I thought about too. Is like if there's somewhere I could really see myself living for a long period of time, like longer, long enough to make them accept a transfer. Potentially Denver. I would love to. I know that's one of their biggest stores, so I'd have to establish myself as worthy to go there, basically. Right. Or going up to like Portland, or the Seattle's their biggest location. Yeah. So I don't know about that, but yeah, I definitely have thought about going transferring to a different location down the line as a way to travel somewhere else. And because like at this point, I'm just going on trips that are just in a certain vicinity, because I know I have to come back and go to work in 5 days or 4 days or whatever it is. But if I were to go to a different location, that just opens up a whole new range of things I could go. Yeah. If I were to go in like Portland, then you have all the national parks up there. Mm-hmm. Washington has like the Olympic National Park, Olympus National Park, and Mount Hood. I love Mount Hood. My mom's from Portland, so I grew up when I'm growing up, I would go to Portland a lot. So I could definitely see myself transferring one of those locations.
Being up that way.
Yeah, definitely.
That's cool. What bums you out about living in a van? What's hard about it?
I think like specifically Encinitas, getting tickets gives me anxiety.
Yeah.
When I first moved into a van, for the first 4 months, I parked on the Pacific Coast Highway right there. Never got a ticket. Mm-hmm. And I was convinced, like, I thought you were just allowed to do it, because all these other vans would park. I'd park right by the Cardiff Kook, right south of it, at George's, I believe the break's called. Yeah. Just right there. And you gotta wake up to the beach every day. And never worried about a ticket, because I just never got one. I honestly was convinced you were allowed to, because all these other vans did it. I did it. Nothing ever happened. So yeah, the first 4 months, it was awesome. And then I got my first ticket, and I was like, just changed my whole world. Flipped it upside down. I was like, what? Like, $80, and I'm like already, I'm in credit card debt and all this debt from the van and stuff. It's like I don't have money to pay this ticket right now. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, all right, well, tomorrow night I'm just gonna park. I'm gonna park like a little more stealthy, not on the PCH, because I was like, this is how it has to be now. Boom, another ticket.
No, next night.
Next night, and I was like, was heartbroken, because like Encinitas was like my home, and I just felt unwelcomed after that. Mm-hmm. And for like 3 weeks straight, I was staying in like Solana and places down south, and like I didn't even come up to Encinitas. Like, I'd go to work and take the 5 and not even drive through Encinitas. Like, I just, like, it shattered me. And then, I ended up, like, my friend moved to Encinitas and basically said I could, like, park in his cul-de-sac. And I was still scared about it because, like,
still public street.
Yeah, it's still public street in Encinitas, but I started parking there and haven't really had any problems since then. Mm-hmm. And the anxiety's kind of gone away where, like, I feel like I've been parking there long enough to where, like, the neighbors probably assume I live at that house. Because I'll go there, get out and go into his house sometimes and, like, hang out with him for a bit. Mm-hmm. Because he's one of my good friends, so I'll go in and hang out with him before I pass out usually. So, yeah, I think the neighbors are cool with it. No one complains. Mm-hmm. And I haven't had any problems since, so I feel pretty comfortable leaving there. But I still wake up every morning and check my windshield. Yeah, every morning. No matter how long it's been since I haven't gotten the ticket, like, I still check my windshield every morning.
Yeah, that's
like the biggest bummer, I think, of the van. Bathrooms, yeah, that sucks. But, like, the tickets is what gives me... It's, like, hard to sleep at night when I first got that ticket. Like, and I still think about it sometimes. Like I said, it's not as much of an issue anymore, but it definitely, like... You feel a little on edge when you're in a van sometimes. Yeah. About getting a knock on the door or a ticket in the morning or something like that. I mean, have you guys gotten a ticket yet?
No.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, we haven't.
Hope not.
We've been knocked on.
You guys have a stealthy build, though.
We do have a pretty stealthy build, and the new one we're working on, we're hoping to keep just as stealthy.
Do you guys sleep with these on?
Yeah.
Okay. I always thought that was like a dead giveaway.
The thing is, dude, we move around a whole lot.
You're on, like, you don't stay at the same spot every night?
Yeah, and also because I've been here for a long time, I've got a couple of little nooks and stuff.
Yeah.
And where I know that, like, nobody gives a shit. And then, in addition to all of that, a couple of my nooks are really close to my sister's house where my car is registered. And Perfect. So if the cops run my tags, then they're like, oh, he's right here.
I know residents who have gotten tickets, though, which is crazy. Like,
oh, yeah?
I'm surprised they're still doing this. I'm surprised that residents haven't gotten extremely upset and, started complaining. Because I know multiple people who live here who've gotten their vans or anything of that nature ticketed when they live right where the van's parked at.
I know this is kind of maybe a little surprising to hear me say, but I'm glad to hear that the people who own property in town are also getting ticketed.
So am I, because I want them to complain so then they can stop.
Yeah.
Cause it's like that's what we have to go through every fucking time we get a ticket. It's like it's a hassle.
It's a weird decision to make to marginalize.
And I've honestly talked to police officers for the Encinitas Police Department who have said their job is to ticket every single van at night.
Right.
No sprinters allowed, period.
Right.
In Encinitas. It's like, how can you, like, that's crazy to me that came out of a police officer's mouth.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't ban a vehicle in a town, like. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And it's like, you can't prove, like, by Webster definition, yes, mine is an RV, and that's what my ticket was for, is no RV parking from 10:30 p.m. to 6 a.m. or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But, with window covers, I mean, yes, it is an RV, and I'm admitting that on camera, but there's no way for him to prove that when he gave me the ticket, so I think it's wrongful that I get the ticket to begin with, because, I mean, he doesn't even know if I was sleeping in the van. He doesn't know what he did. He can't see beyond the window covers. Right. It could just be a regular van. And people have gotten tickets for regular vans. I mean, you've met Matt, I'm assuming, from Flock Goods. Mm-hmm. He got a ticket before his van.
Last episode, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Shout out Matt, great guy. He told me he got a ticket before his van was even converted. It was completely empty inside. Yeah. He got a ticket, and he got it. They took it away, but he still had to go in there, go through that whole house, and they basically just like, oh, our bad, took it away. It's like, think about how many residents have to go in there and, oh, our bad, and take it away. It's like that's taking time out of your day. So I'm surprised people aren't more up in arms about it, but they're also mad, I guess, that we're getting these views for free or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's an interesting stigma on this very efficient and, from what I see, very practical way to live. Yeah. You know?
And that's what the officer told me too. He's like, you have to understand these people are paying a lot of money. I'm like, no, I get it. And they're like, they're paying all this money for these to live where they live, and you're gonna do it for free. And it's like, yeah, but they can do that too. They don't have to pay all this money to get these views I'm getting. They can move into a van.
It's a public parking space. They don't own the public parking
exactly.
space.
And like, if I put myself in their shoes, like, which I do with a lot of situations, like, I can see where like the anger comes from, possibly, but like, I'm just
sweetie, they're just jealous.
I'm not the kind of person to get like that angry over something like that. I just don't. I don't let things like that like ruin my day. Mm-hmm. And I feel like too many people do let little tiny things just like ruin their day or ruin them from enjoying their life. Like,
so, do you love your van? Do you want a different van?
Love my van. And I would never tell it to her, but I do want a different van. She doesn't know that.
Do you have an idea?
Oh, yeah. I have a pretty dialed in idea. Shane and Jared do not want me to get another van, and my friends do not want me to get another van. They think I'm lucky to have what I have, and I am. But
yeah, your van's dope, dude.
It'd be nice to stand up, you know?
Yeah, sure.
And like I always tell people, I don't live in my van. I live out of my van. Uh-huh. I'm not hanging out in there all the time, but still, I would like to wake up and stretch in the morning and be able to cook not on my knees and brush my teeth not on my knees. Mm-hmm. So I want to get a E350. I don't want to get a straight high top, but I do want to get one of the hard shell tops, you know, not a pop top, but a hard shell top. So I do want to get that E350 diesel hard shell top, 4x4 conversion.
Hell yeah.
I would love to do a quickly conversion, but those are like, from what I've heard, like over $10,000.
Super expensive, yeah.
So any 4-wheel drive conversion will work, but something like that, because I want to be able to take my van places very remote. Uh-huh. And I feel like the clearance on a lot of the high tops just doesn't allow for that. They're just so low to the ground. So if I were to get what I have now, but it's just the bigger version, and get the hard shell high top, and then I'd have it diesel 4x4, and then end up doing a 6-inch lift on Fox shocks. So
cool.
It'd be able to basically go anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, not as capable as a Jeep, but it could keep up with the 4Runners and stuff like that. Right. I'm sure with the right suspension and stuff.
That's interesting, and it totally makes sense with your photography ambitions.
Yeah.
The two of us, you know, we're in the middle of another build right now.
Yeah.
And we're outdoorsy people, but we're city people.
Yeah.
Like, my biggest complaint about Encinitas is that there aren't enough cultural opportunities.
Yeah.
And so we're big into being in Chicago and New York and Vancouver and LA. We got this thing coming up in LA, and like, stealth is like my number one.
And
I'm constantly trying to figure out how I can make my nice kitted out new van look like a dumpy ass work truck, you know, so that I never get messed with.
Yeah.
But it totally makes sense that you would want, because when I think about those hard shell tops, I'm like, oh, talk about a dead giveaway.
Definitely.
Right?
And that's why this van would never happen until I was working remotely.
Yeah, dude. And then you're just in BLM land.
Right now, it's not realistic. Like, I can't have luminous bumpers on my car and like all this badass stuff and be living in the city still.
Right.
So and my van now is not even stealthy. Like, to be honest, I just have all the stickers on it and the cargo box, and the solar panels aren't even on the roof. They're elevated on roof bars, so like they're just visible. Mm-hmm. But I guess just like the situation I have now, we're staying at my friend's house for the most part. It doesn't matter if it's stealthy or not. I happen to be getting lucky, I guess. But we'll keep it up for now.
Sure.
But yeah, so I would like to have a high top eventually, just to be able to stand up.
Yeah.
But not until I was able to work remotely. As far as the inside layout, I have ideas, but nothing for sure yet. I like the platform fixed beds because all the storage you get. But I also really enjoy a lot of my friends' vans who have the bench seats with the table that drops down, pull the backrest out into a bed. Mm-hmm. I like having that sitting area and stuff, and being able to hang out, like have guests over, basically, as you put it in van life. Like, it'd be cool if my van would be the one that people could sit at and hang out and not have to duck in, you know?
Yeah.
But, I mean, then again, you proved that that's quite capable right here, and we're all sitting down having an awesome conversation.
Yeah, I mean,
in a low top.
We regularly have 4 people and the dog in here. And
that's what I'm missing is a couch. Like
it's not a whole lot, but the thing is, like, the thing that we're so excited about in the new van is a fixed bed.
Yeah.
Because we're still going to have this much space when we get the seats on swivel.
And the amount of storage you can put under there.
It's
you guys each have your own one-wheel bikes. But then, you know, I'm also friends with a lot of people who are extremely creative and talented when it comes to design and carpentry and things like that. And they just throw all these ideas at me that I've never even thought about. Like, if you do the bench seat, you could still fit bikes underneath each backrest of the bench because it's going to be tall enough. And it's like, wow, never thought about that. You could still have a mountain bike, you know, obviously take off the front wheel and stuff, and rear wheel probably, but like, things like that I never thought about. So it's nice to have people who have that kind of mind. So next van is still work in progress. Probably won't happen for another 2-3 years, I'd say, probably. Unless someone offers me the right price for my current van.
Right.
Yeah. And then I would sell it in a heartbeat. Be like, hey, Mom, Dad, I'm moving back in for 6 months while I build this new van.
Yeah. Yeah. The big van is going to be... and this is one of the things I was thinking about, is that you're in a small van. We've been in a small van for a long time. And,
yeah.
The ProMaster that we're building in is the shortest wheelbase tall top. And it's still... The huge benefit of having been in a place this small is that thing, when we put the bed in, we had taped everything out on the floor, and we were like, oh, look at it. Oh, this stuff is going to be here. But it was basically just looking at a schematic that you had drawn on a piece of paper.
Yeah, I mean, I did the same thing with like the blue painter's tape, get your floor plan out.
But when we put the bed in the other day, it was like,
shit. That's what we're working with.
The space in front of the bed is as big as our current van, you know?
That's awesome.
And you guys have the ProMaster, which it's the widest, correct?
Yeah.
It's not the tallest, the Transit's the tallest, right?
Yeah.
But it's the widest and it's the most square, so it's kind of, you have the most, you don't lose all that space from the edges, and it's a lot easier just to work with in general.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the biggest, mind messer when I was building my van, was like,
because everything's curved.
Nothing is perfect angles, and you can't use a level at all. You can't use a level in a van.
Because where are you parked, dude?
Even if you're parked on a level surface, it's like the shocks to be a little different. It's like, it's all about quadruple measuring all the lengths, like from the top, from the bottom, from each every angle. Like, so even though it's still that way with the ProMaster, at least you have a little more of a square area to work with. Exactly. And when I was still debating between an Econoline high top or just one of the newer high tops, that was one of the big things, was like the ProMaster seems so much easier to build in. But yeah, I think the ride height was the thing that did it for me, being able to get places I couldn't get with the high tops. But that's why that van won't happen for a while, because I don't need that right now. I'm not going to anything that crazy right now, where I need that. Here. Yeah, exactly.
Well, in our van, I think the ProMasters are pretty good in snow, but in terms of driving it over serious terrain, it is not going to do that.
And you can get lift kits on them, but then it's like you're a little taller, a little more top heavy, and a little less clearance. So it's just little factors like that. And I might change and end up getting a high top, but as of now, that's what I would end up going with if I were to get a new van.
Yeah,
nice.
Did you meet those folks that live in the ambulance? I've a 4-wheel drive ambulance.
No, I've met one person who lives in an ambulance, solar ambulance.
Bruce.
Yeah, but I've not met the couple that lives in an ambulance. Is it still look like an ambulance, or is it completely converted?
They did. They put leopard skin or something on the outside.
Yeah, that's Gypsy Tribe.
Yeah.
So that's essentially, yes, exactly.
That's what you're looking at.
That's essentially basically the same exact thing. They have an E350 diesel. They have it on the exact same shocks I want, 6-inch lift on Fox shocks. I don't know if there's a 4-wheel drive. I don't think it is.
I think it is.
It is? So yeah, literally that, and then the hard top shell. That's literally exactly what I'm trying to get, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool.
Gypsy Tribe's van is dope, by the way. I saw that at the meetup.
Yeah.
Awesome build. Very clean. It's how I would have my van. Clean.
Separate
OCD.
Separate spaces for the underwear and the socks.
Exactly.
You got anything, bud? Are we done?
We're doing good.
And did we miss anything?
Easy to talk to.
No?
Yeah. Super easy to talk to.
Here's the mystery since I've met you.
Yes.
Is that you look really familiar to me. Did you ever hang out at Culture? In the past?
No, my friend works at Viore, so I've stopped in there a couple times. Beer Garden, I've been a couple times. Do you work at Culture?
I used to work at Culture, and that's usually how I find I know people that
But you're 22. When is your birthday?
January 13th. A couple weeks ago.
So you just turned 22.
Birthday.
You just turned 22.
Which means that you didn't work at Culture when he was old enough to drink.
Well, I hope nobody served you.
What year did you graduate high school?
2014.
Graduated 2016, so our high schools played football against each other. You went to
Mesa, Murrieta.
I don't know.
Quite far. I just always am like, oh, okay, I know that person. I can't.
My brother
them.
graduated the same year as you. I'm pretty sure. My brother graduated 2013. I look just like him.
There you go.
It's an unsolved mystery, but maybe I just have a familiar face.
Maybe.
Nice.
Maybe it was something else. That's usually just my best guess.
Is there anything pressing that you want to tell us? Anything else that we didn't cover?
No, I feel like I covered a Spark Notes version of me.
All right.
Yeah.
My past, my present, and my future.
That's all I'm asking for,
Yeah.
dude. Cool. Well, thanks for coming on the
what's
I'm glad you
podcast.
had me on.
Give them your Instagram.
Oh, yeah. What's
So
your
you
Instagram?
Check out your photography.
Christian.henkel.photo.
Your Henkel is spelled the wrong way. I thought I was going to get some free knives, dude.
Henkel. Isn't that how the knife place spells it? Or is it L-E?
N-C-K.
Really?
E-L,
Yeah.
I think.
I did know that's the only thing I've ever heard with that name. That's
Yeah.
from Williams Sonoma. I know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Henkel
Right.
knives.
They're dope knives. That's the only knife I have in the van.
Really?
Yeah, but not
I'm honored.
not the knife company. Follow Christian. I'll put his link in the podcast
Hey,
description.
thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
Good times.
All right, guys, we did it. Had a really good chat with Christian. I think that he's going to do great things, and so I hope that you go and follow him on Instagram. It's Christian.Henkel, Henkel.photo on Instagram. He's taking a bunch of really rad lifestyle and van life pictures because he's friends with a bunch of people who live in vans. If you see opportunities to give him work, shovel him over there. And I really appreciate you listening if you've made it this long. And we'll have another episode for you on Tuesday of From the Van.